Man, time flies when you're having fun. Can't believe we're at the midpoint of the football
Midpoint.
season. Crazy to think already. This is supposed to be a bye week for both Montana and Montana State, but instead Montana has got a game. Samuel Akem joining us here on the ESPN Roundtable. Maybe you're listening in on the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series. Either way, we appreciate you for tuning in. First, we got to start with the rankings. As you and I record this here on Wednesday afternoon, the FCS playoff committee, the first set of rankings since it is the official midseason, have been released. So you were basically just live tweeting this 3 minutes ago, right before we went
Yeah.
on the air. So give us the lowdown. Give us the top 10. How's it looking so far as the playoff committee rolling out their first FCS top 10 of 2025?
Man, so who we got? Obviously, NDSU at number one. We got SDSU at number two. Tarleton State at number three. There's a lot of conversation about
Man,
Tarleton State. We can get into that. Montana State at number four. I would have put, Montana probably at three, but I don't disagree with Montana State being up there. They're a very good football team and they should be feared. Montana is at five. UC Davis at six. Lehigh at seven. You got North Dakota at eight. Monmouth at nine. They are the best offense in FCS football by far. And then Tennessee Tech at 10. I think you put Tennessee Tech in there strictly off record. If you look at their resume is not strong, but if you haven't lost to anybody, you got to give them some respect. So that's the top 10 right now as it stands.
I think no surprise that NDSU is number one. I think no surprise that South Dakota State is number two. But then three, four, five might surprise some people. What do you think? How would you have ranked these teams? And what do you think of the love that Tarleton State's getting compared to the Montana schools?
I think it's hard to argue against Tarleton State with it. It depends on who the committee, because Sam Herder mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, and he does a great job covering the FCS. But he talked about how each committee member really can you they have a certain amount of metrics and things that they can all look at, and basically it's up to them which one they value more. So one committee member may value strength of schedule more, one committee member may value Massey rating more, one committee member may value FBS wins more. It just depends. Clearly, they value that FBS win for Tarleton over Army, and that's probably what got them at three. Because if you look at the rest of their schedule, and that's what I was going to say, Tarleton State has been very dominant. We saw them play a close game against Southern Utah, but Southern Utah, I would say, has a really good offense. They can't stop
Yeah,
anybody. I mean, Southern Utah puts up points on anybody. They
they
played a
do.
close game against UC Davis. They played a close game. I think it was. They play close games against basically everybody. They
Yeah.
just can't finish. So Tarleton State at three. I would have put Montana at three solely based on the two ranked wins. Tarleton State has zero. Montana State only has one. But when you look at Montana State being at four, their only loss is to the number two team in the bracket. So, I mean, it's not. I don't have a big problem with Montana State. I really don't even have a problem with Tarleton State either. One, because Tarleton State plays West Georgia this weekend, so we'll get to figure them out after that game. But also, this is the midseason ranking, so there's a bunch more football to be played. Montana, it's crazy. I was thinking about this yesterday, Coulter. Montana has played 6 games. We are going into week 8.
Right.
Montana still has 6 games to play at week 8. That
Right.
is crazy.
It is crazy. It's crazy they don't get a break. It's crazy that they don't have a bye. It's going to sort of delay, I think, sort of the overall evaluation of the team as a whole, no doubt. What do you think of this dynamic? Because you're right, Montana does have two ranked wins. And at the time, they beat the number 16 team, North Dakota, who's now in the top 10. And
Yep.
they beat a number 8 Idaho team who somehow stayed in the poll. I don't know how. They've lost 2 in a row and they're 2-4. But the Idaho win doesn't look nearly as good.
Nope.
So I guess start there. What do you think? Should teams be evaluated on what the ranking of the team is that they beat at the time that they beat them, or do you evaluate it like let's say Idaho goes 5-7? Does that become a way worse win than when
In my
Montana beat
opinion,
them when
yes.
they're number 8?
Well, we don't want to call it a worse win. Me and Keenan have been talking about this lately. There's no bad wins. If you win, it's a good win. But that win doesn't look as strong, certainly, if
Yeah,
Idaho ends up being 5-7. But then you got to juxtapose that with the North Dakota win. That win
right.
looks really, really, really good as the
Yep.
weeks go on. They're playing another ranked opponent this weekend, I think, in Southern Illinois. So I definitely think if a team falls out of the rankings, and that's why I like how Sam does rankings when they played and then now ranking because I think it matters. They were ranked here when they played, so obviously there was a lot of talk and a lot of pub on the game, but this is where they are now. I think that matters, and I think that should hold weight.
Okay, so then the other factor here is that because Montana State with 2 losses is ranked ahead of Montana with 0 losses right now, the committee is saying that losing to South Dakota State is better than beating Idaho. That's what they're
I
saying.
guess I guess that's what they're saying. And honestly, I would disagree with that. Like losing is never good. Losing to the number two team is not as bad as losing to an unranked team or whatever.
Right.
But I would value being undefeated solely over where Montana State is at. But I have been on the record multiple times saying I think this Montana State team is very, very good. Personally, right now, I think they are better than Montana. But if you're basing it on what the resume looks like and what has taken place, I think Montana's resume kind of is a little better than Montana State's right now. But if you're looking at the teams, if you've watched either of them, I don't think it's hard to say that Montana State is a better football team right now.
Well, the other interesting part when it comes to the top five here is that Tarleton State, their remaining schedule is West Georgia at their place. Then they're at
Yep.
Eastern Kentucky, at Abilene Christian, then North Alabama, comes to Stephenville, Texas, and Austin P. So West Georgia's pretty good. Other than that, and Abilene Christian's pretty good too.
Abilene and Austin P. Austin P's 4-2 right now.
Yeah,
4-2
no,
or five
that's
and
right.
two.
Austin P's
Yeah.
a team on the
And they
rise.
got an FBS victory as well.
Yeah, interesting. This goes back to my whole premise where I often think outside the top 10 in the FCS. I think a lot of the teams that are in other leagues get overinflated because they get to play in the leagues they play in and they win games. Like I'm not so convinced that Austin P isn't like same with Cal Poly and Idaho State and
Or Lehigh. Think about Lehigh.
Lehigh. Yeah, right. Like Lehigh and Cal Poly play tomorrow in San Luis Obispo. Who wins? I'm not sure. Like uh, Austin P and Idaho State play tomorrow in Pocatello. I don't know who
Idaho
wins.
State wins.
That's what I'm saying. And Idaho State's
I,
like eighth best team in the Big Sky this year.
I've been saying this. I had this in my notes for one of my videos. Tennessee Tech is going to go 12-0 or 11-1, and we
Right.
won't know how good they are until the
Right.
first or second round of the playoffs.
Right. And if they played the Big Sky, they would finish what?
Middle of the pack.
Seventh, eighth, somewhere in there, right? Like they would be on par with like Northern Colorado and Cal Poly and Idaho
And
State
see,
probably.
this is the funny part because when it comes to SEC football, like FBS football, and it's the SEC, I disagree with the SEC Big Ten bias. But then when we're talking FCS football, like there is a Big Sky, and the Big Sky and MVFC are clearly separated from the rest of the conferences in FCS football. I think it's hard to deny that when you look at the numbers, when you look at the teams, when you look at the athletes in the conferences, they're
Right.
different. So I think like it's hard because I'm looking at FBS football and I'm like, man, like they value the SEC and Big Ten so much. And then I talk FCS and I'm like, well, I kind of get it. I kind of understand it.
Yeah, North Dakota is another great example of a litmus test, right? If North Dakota and Tarleton State played next week, that'd be a good game, but I think North Dakota would win,
It would. I think
right?
North Dakota win too. Defensively, they're better.
North Dakota plays Lehigh. I think North Dakota whoops their ass. I think they beat them by a couple scores, right? And those teams
Yeah.
are ranked ahead of North Dakota. So it's just another deal, right? It's just like
Hmm.
almost being third, fourth, fifth in the Big Sky and the Missouri Valley. You're still maybe top 10 in the country, but it's hard to say that you are a top 10 team when you're in fifth place in your own league. And that's, or even
Because you've lost to NDSU and South Dakota State.
right, exactly. And Montana in Missoula, right? Like
Yeah.
when North
Yeah.
Dakota's resume is all said and done, they might be an eight, a 9-3 team or a 8-4 team, and they have lost to three of the top five teams in the country. So,
Yeah.
but the other scenario we're talking about, Samuel Akem here on the ESPN Roundtable, represented by Stockman Bank of Montana, Stockman Bank, Montana's brand of banking. The other scenario here is I laid out Tarleton's schedule. They have a pretty good shot of running the table or being like an 11-1 team.
Yep.
We know for a fact that either Montana or Montana State are going to lose one more time. And we know for a fact that either South Dakota State and or North Dakota State are going to lose one more time. So if Tarleton State goes undefeated, could they get a top two seed because some of these other teams are certain to lose, or does it just depend on who loses where?
I think it'd be hard not to give them a top two seed. They beat everybody in front of them, and you don't want to run into a situation like what happened with Florida State a couple of years ago. Like undefeated team beat everybody they played.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, they just didn't make it into the playoff. Now, obviously, the scenarios are a little different. Tarleton State
sure.
would still make the playoffs, but I just think it's hard not to give them a top two seed if they are undefeated. They win the UAC, have a couple of ranked wins. Like they have an FBS win too, no matter what Army schedule record is, they're gonna have an FBS win. So I think it'd be hard if they're 12-0 at the end of the season.
NDSU goes 12-0, they're getting the one seed period.
Or for sure.
If NDSU and Montana go 12-0, and so does Tarleton, I think you got to give the two seed to the Grizz in that scenario.
You do. You do.
NDSU and let's say Montana State runs the table to get to 10-2, and
Hmm.
Tarleton runs the table. You get an NDSU undefeated, they get the one, and then who gets the two? A one-loss South Dakota State team, a one-loss Montana team, or a two-loss Montana State team that's coming off of a win in Missoula. Man, that's crazy,
Coulter,
right? Yeah,
stop
that's a
it.
hard scenario. That would be really hard for the committee.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
going to have so one if in that scenario. That's actually the worst case scenario for the committee
Yeah.
because one of the three, all three of those teams would have a good resume, and you're screwing over one of those three teams. Period.
Yep. But I mean, you're still at that in that scenario, you're all probably getting the top four. Hopefully, I
Totally,
mean, maybe
totally.
if Lehigh runs the table, Lehigh. I mean, I don't know. It's so hard to judge.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the team that would be on the outside looking in, I think, in that last scenario I laid out is Montana because they would be the one that got the four probably because they were coming off of a loss.
Yeah.
Everybody else would be coming off of wins. That's why
That's why
having Jake.
Cat Grizz needs to be moved up a couple of
Man,
weeks.
see, he's been listening to me. He's been listening
I
to me.
have.
I've been saying this, man, and that's the other scenario that I always lay out for people is that North Dakota State, South Dakota State play every year, and they play in October, and then they
Hmm.
get to play 4 or 5 more games after that, so they don't have this
Couple of
crazy
ranked ones too.
right, and they don't have this crazy recency. It's just so tough to get the seed you deserve when you just lost an intense rivalry game, the last game of the year, and right
And usually it's a blowout, so it looks bad.
exactly, right? Exactly. And so then you're getting sent on the road, or you're getting sent on the road eventually. You don't get that home field all the way throughout. So it's definitely an interesting scenario. Uh, Samuel Kim, ESPN Roundtable. A couple thoughts on what you saw last week in Missoula. What do you think of the Grizz ability to sort of turn it on in the second half?
Man, I gave him praise on the Kim's analysis. I'm gonna give him praise on the roundtable. Kenzel Lawler has been really showing up, man. 2 straight games now. He's really balled out. He got a pick six last week against Cal Poly. Um, I don't know, like this defense has been getting a lot of fire. There have been a lot of conversations about them. For them to come up with 4 interceptions, give up 60 yards in the second half, and really it's closer to 20 yards in the second half outside of a long 39-yard run. Like they closed everything down in that second half. I think this team is really coming along. It's surprising to see a team take so many steps throughout the season. But one thing that still concerns me about this team is the offensive line, man. Like, it just seems like they can't protect at the highest level. It seems like at times they're not able to run the ball the way they want to. Now, obviously, Eli Gilman's still at 100 rushing yards. I mean, but Eli Gilman is Eli Gilman, so that's a different story. But there's just some things that concern me. But I think the defense is definitely taking the steps in the right direction.
The defense looked better last week, I thought for sure. I think that
Mhm.
they're grasping the scheme. Do you think that Lawler's playing better because he's the number one? Like, does that boost his confidence? Like knowing that he's got to be their best guy.
I think it can boost your confidence, yes, knowing that you got to be the best guy. But also, I think it's just like I don't know. I talk about time on task so much, and Haupt talks about time on task so much as well. Like you
Yeah,
get better at playing football by playing football. I think not only is it knowing that he's the number one guy going to be guarding the number one receiver, but also it's the fact that like he's done it multiple times. He's getting the opportunities and he's made plays. So now his confidence is growing. I don't know. I think it's a combination of a multiple factors that have allowed him to really shine throughout these last couple of games.
last specific question because you and I were talking about this in the press box. The Grizz had really great receiver rotation going with the top three guys in Drew Jack, Michael Wortham, and Brooks Davis, and then Jordan Devers getting involved, and Ian Finch
Yep.
kind of like the headbanger that just cracks
Yeah.
back and blocks. He never gets the ball,
He's
but
like their H back. He's like their H back.
exactly. But he's the guy like that seals the edge and springs some of these, for Eli Gilman. But then Blake Bohannon, who was a starter coming out of camp, has been hurt, but he came back last week and it seemed to throw off the whole rotation. And they even got a couple
Mhm.
procedural penalties, which,
Yep.
man, this as playing for Coach Al. First of all, that doesn't fly. And second of all, it hardly ever happens because he's so obsessive about. So, I mean, I bet you they've had seasons where there was no substitution penalties, and they had
Yep.
4 of them last week, including 3 on offense. So, how much can one guy getting back in the rotation sort of disrupt the flow of just getting in and out of games and or getting in and out of the offensive sets?
I think it can mess up the flow a lot. Like these guys are in their mode of okay, I go in here, I'm going in here. Now you're inserting Bohannon. Now obviously they've talked about it throughout the practice week. They've talked about it throughout the week and all that stuff. But it's different when you're in the game. It's like what I would say probably happened if I could guess what happened is what Brooks Davis is probably the 13. He became the 13 receiver. When they go 13 personnel, Brooks Davis is the sole receiver on the field. 13 personnel, meaning there's one tight end, one running back on the field, three tight ends. That's four specialty guys, and then five on linemen, the quarterback. That's 10 people. You got one left, that's the receiver. I think what had happened was when they're changing formations, usually I'm the guy. Bohannon's probably thinking, oh, usually I'm the guy that stays in on 13. Well, you were out for a couple of weeks. Things have changed. Now you're the guy that's expected to get out. That's probably what happened. They're probably trying to coordinate because it seemed like one time Bohannon didn't even know he was supposed to go out. He's like trying to line up, and me and you both are in the booth saying, like, no, they're telling you to get out. Like, get out. And he's standing there, and eventually they get the penalty. I'm like, yo, this is a mess, an absolute mess.
And I mean, I think that was part of what, like, I think the lack of continuity or the lack of flow in the rotations, I think it
Yep.
affected in the performance of the receivers. Because you go back and watch that film. I thought Montana made five terrible mistakes in the first half that kept them from getting on the scoreboard. But if you even just don't make three of those mistakes, you probably score 14 more points, and that's a 42-9 win. And it's just exact same as you beat Cal Poly last year. And then I don't think anybody's talking about nothing. I think that they're saying the Grizz beat down Cal Poly on homecoming, and that's about it. So just a
Yep.
little nuance there. Nuance now 1029 ESPN Radio, ESPN Roundtable, probably presented by Stockman Bank of Montana. All right, let's do our Big Sky power rankings quickly. I think we kind of know
Woo!
where we're going to be at in terms of the top teams. It's just a matter of which order we put in. Well, let's do the bottom tier, because the bottom tier has actually changed since the last time. You and I did this coming into conference play, and it certainly changed since then. So give me your 12 through 9, the bottom four teams right now in your power rankings.
Bottom four, I got Portland State.
Me too.
I got Eastern
Me
Washington.
too.
I got Weber State.
Me too.
I got Idaho.
Same.
Okay.
I mean, man, Idaho is 2-4 and they've lost three in a row. Man, I mean,
Yep.
they just got beat down by Northern Colorado. Like I mean,
Yep. 49 to 33. Not close.
I mean,
At home.
they just gave a 50 burger on homecoming to Northern Colorado. Man, like
Yep.
50 burger to anybody on your home field is a cause for concern. But to Northern Colorado,
Yes.
and again, we're going to get to Northern Colorado because I think they're better. But Northern Colorado was hucking and chucking it. I mean, they looked like I've never seen a Northern Colorado team that looked like that. I mean, Thomas Ford told me they completed 9 gash plays. That's a play that's over 30 yards on back shoulders for almost 260 yards. Like that is a lot of yardage to give up. And then you factor
Yeah.
that Idaho is down their quarterback and Joshua Wood. They're down Art Williams. He's out for the year at running back. And then they turn the ball over a whole bunch. That's just a recipe for disaster. It's actually
Can't win with turnovers.
I mean, it's like lucky that they only lost by 16 points. Like that's a game where you lose by 50 because of all the circumstances that go into it. Does Idaho have any chance to right this? I mean, is Idaho still like if they won out, could they be a playoff team, or have they already buried themselves?
I think they're really buried. I just don't think they have enough, especially depending on how much time Josh Wood is missing. I mean, he's their whole offense. We watched them live in effect. You were at that game. Josh Wood is their entire offense. Like if they don't have Josh Wood, they can't really do much of anything. So I just don't know if they can string together enough wins. I mean, going into this season, I expected Idaho to be like a 7-5 football team. That's where really I said what I thought their record would be 7-5, potentially a playoff team. But I think with teams playing 12 now, 7 won't really get it done. I think you need 8 now to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Especially that extra game, it makes it so there's like this trajectory to your season, right? Because if you to get to 5 losses, you probably have lost recently, and that affects the way that the committee thinks about you. All right, so who do you got 8 through 5 in your?
So I just shifted around 4 through 6 because I didn't necessarily like where I had them. But you said 8 through 5.
Yeah.
Okay, at 8 I have Cal Poly.
Okay.
At 7 I have Idaho State.
Okay.
At 6 I have Sac State.
Okay.
There could be some shifting around there. And then at 5, I have Northern Colorado.
Wow. So I have Northern Colorado at 8, Idaho State at 7, Northern Arizona at 6, and Sac State at 5. I have Cal Poly at number 4 on the strength of the fact that they beat Sac State. They played UC Davis and Montana tough. I think they're the most tested team in the Big Sky right now because of the teams that played. They've only won one of those games. I have Northern Colorado behind Idaho State only because Idaho State beat Northern Colorado.
Right.
Um,
Man, I forgot
so
about that.
so that's there. I got Sac State behind Poly because Cal Poly beat Sac State, and I got Northern Arizona.
Yes.
I got Northern Arizona at number 6 because Northern Arizona's lost 2 weeks in a row, and I know it was to Montana State and UC Davis, but they're sitting at 4-3, and,
Two
and
straight
they're sort of
losses.
they're stuck. They got to turn the corner and go forward. Certainly, I think they can because they have a favorable schedule coming up. They still have another gauntlet game this week, I think, but then moving forward, I think they have winnable games. But they gotta get that thing going. But right now, I don't
The
know.
Big Sky's looking like a three team league, low key, or a three bid league right
You led
now.
me right to what I was going to say next. Is I think that either Northern Arizona, Sac State, Northern Arizona, or Cal Poly have to turn it on and win basically down the stretch if this wants to be a 4-team playoff league. Because I mean, Cal Poly is probably going to lose to the Cats
I
in
agree.
Bispo, but then they have 4 winnable games after that. A 7-5 Cal Poly team, though, I don't think that team gets in. NAU is the team that they only have
I
the
don't think
three
so either.
losses. NAU has the 3 losses. So they have to then, if they get their fourth, then they can't lose again, period. If the league wants to get 4 playoff teams. And Sac, same thing, but I'm just so stuck on Sac, man. I don't know, man. Like Sac's gonna have some must wins coming up.
I don't know either. I don't know what to think about this team.
Yeah, I mean, they have to beat
I
Montana.
don't know what to think
Want to
about
get
the Sac
back in,
State team.
if Sac wants to get back in the true mix, they got to beat Montana in a couple weeks. And Montana's going to come in there with a head of steam.
They have to. They have to. Now,
Go ahead.
they do. Sac State has been running the ball really well.
Yep.
But I mean, they can't hit anybody over the top. Their defense isn't very strong. They rush the passer better than anybody in the conference. But it's just like they're good at the running back position. They're okay at the quarterback position. They're good at the D line. They're not very good in the secondary. It's like this team is just so inconsistent. I just don't know what to think about them.
Yeah, they have a lot of just like operational problems too, right? Like if it's not one thing, then it's the next thing, and that's they had a quarterback problem and they kind of fixed it, but like they just the problem seems to shift, and it seems to have a lot to do with the engagement of the people that are playing as much as it does anything else. So, last
Yep.
big picture question, then we get in the top
Yep.
three. When you were playing for the Grizz, Weber State was like one of the teams to beat. I mean, they had won the league a whole bunch of times, or at least shared the league title, and they were a juggernaut, and they always had all these dudes. It's
Yep.
wild to me
We
that
lost to them in the playoffs.
I mean they have fallen to nothing. Like they're irrelevant. I can't believe it. Are you surprised by this?
Yeah.
Me too. Me too. There's some serious.
I am, man. I am. I am. I'm surprised. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Jay Hill is gone. I think he was doing a lot to help recruit for them. Um, but I don't know. It's so confusing. Like it felt like the second Jay Hill was gone, it was just, pew! It was like once his recruits kind of whittled out, it's like they were nothing. And I just don't know. Like I'm surprised that Jay Hill was able to get. Because honestly, like who wants to go to Ogden, Utah? Like let's be real. So I was surprised they were good in the first place. The fact that now they're back at the bottom, I would expect Weber State to be where they are now, opposed to where they were dominating the Big Sky Conference 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah, I mean the things that you have the airport in Salt Lake, which helps you recruit easier. Like the
Yeah.
logistics are easier than a lot of places in the Big Sky with all the direct flights you can get in and out.
Hmm.
But Jay Hill's a great recruiter too, man. I mean, he half the reason Utah was stacked and half the reason BYU stacked is because him and he made Weber stacked too. You just
BYU's undefeated.
have to wonder if they have regrets because like Jay Hill's heir apparent forever seemed to be Grant Duff, who's now the defensive coordinator at Idaho State. And
Yeah.
they didn't promote Grant Duff when Jay Hill left. They promoted Mickey Mental, and I don't know Coach Mental well. Um, I'm sure he's a fine guy, but the proof's in the pudding, man. Like you went from an elite team in the Big Sky and in the country that was playing the semifinals of the playoffs, and I mean, 400 yards rushing to a team that doesn't even run the ball last week. Like that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like
That's bad.
the ghost of Jay Hill is probably rolling over in his sleep, thinking of. I mean, Jay Hill's teams would never give up 400 yards rushing to anybody.
No.
So
They were never the strongest offensively. They were gonna play some dang defense.
yeah, right, no doubt. Big Sky Breakdown, ESPN Roundtable, 109 ESPN Radio. All right, so I think we both have UC Davis third. I don't think we need to really
Yep.
talk about that much more than that's where we got him is third.
Yeah.
But the
Caden
top two,
Pinnock, hey, I think Caden Pinnock deserves a
okay,
minute of our time.
yeah, let's
He
do
has
it.
been balling. He has been balling.
Oh,
3 straight Offensive Player of the Week awards, over 300 yards his last 2 games. I mean, yo, he is a problem, and he is a redshirt freshman. He's going to terrorize the Big Sky Conference for years to come if he stays. But man, he's been balling.
yeah, they seem like just talking to Coach Plow and talking about the dynamic of that university and the football program, though, they seem like they have a better chance of keeping guys to stay than almost anybody in the league besides
Yes.
the Montana schools, right?
Yep.
Like if Caden Pinnock stays there for multiple years, that will not surprise
Mm-mm. And he's going to break every record.
me, especially because he redshirted. So now he's in
Yep.
that scenario where he could stay for 3 years, be a 3 year starter there for Tim Plow, graduate, and then go be a grad transfer. And Tim Plow has said this multiple times. He said it on this show. He said it on multiple different channels. He says, "Hey man, if you come to UC Davis and get your degree, I'll go help you get that $500,000 paycheck at Cal or at Stanford."
That's the way to do it.
It is the way to do it, man. And like, why would Pinnock
Mhm.
leave when he's getting to play two sports? I mean, I don't know how much the baseball thing is going to keep going now that I mean, he's like potentially an all conference guy already as a football quarterback.
He
So
should be the favorite for the Jerry Rice Award right now.
for sure, he's balling. He's a really dynamic player. He's really fun to watch. And that's the thing I'd say about UC Davis is they turned the keys over to him, knowing there would be some growing pains. They've had a
Yep.
little bit of growing pains, and they've navigated those growing pains, and they're getting better week after week, and they whipped North.
Somebody in the Big Sky Conference could learn from that.
A lot of teams in the Big Sky could learn from that, certainly, but especially the ones that we got ranked in the top two, and especially the one that resides here in Missoula. UC Davis, by the way, beat Northern Arizona 45-24 last week. That was certainly a statement win by the Aggies, and don't look now, but they're undefeated against FCS teams. You have to think that they're wishing that they had that Mercer win under their belt too, because that was
Oh man,
another thing
yes.
to fortify the resume. But still, 5-1 is good, 3-0 is good. They're at Northern Colorado this week, which actually could be a little bit of a test. And they're sort of staring at that showdown at the end of the year when they play at Montana State and then play Sac State in Davis. So more to come for UC Davis, certainly.
I don't think they're at Northern Colorado this week. Northern
Okay,
Colorado plays Idaho State this week,
you're
or
right.
Sac State this week.
You're right. They got to buy.
UC Davis has their second bye. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, they got to buy because they played week 0. That's exactly right.
Yep.
Samuel Akem here on the ESPN Roundtable. We'll take a break. We'll come back. You already know the top two teams in our power rankings are the Montana schools. Who are we going to rank one and why? That's next. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's 1029 ESPN Radio. Welcome back. Nuanez Dow coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Samuel Kim joining me, Colter Nuanez, for an elongated ESPN Roundtable this week doing Big Sky Power Rankings. We spent some time doing the polls earlier today because the FCS Playoff Committee released the polls. If you haven't been following along all show, we talked about this with Sam Herder a little bit earlier today in hour number 1 as well. But here's how the polls look. North Dakota State number 1, South Dakota State number 2, Tarleton State number 3. This is the FCS rankings, I should say, not the polls. Playoff Committee top 10.
Yep.
Tarleton State's number 3. Montana State's number 4. Montana's number 5. UC Davis is number 6. Lehigh is number 7. North Dakota is number 8. Monmouth is number 9. And Tennessee Tech is number 10. But we are going through our Big Sky Power rankings, and we're basically on the same page, except for a little bit of a delineation between the middle of the league. But we think that the top is UC Davis number 3. But then who do you have, Sammy, at number 2 and number 1 at the midseason of our Big Sky Power rankings?
I got Montana at 2. I got Montana State at number 1 in the conference. Defense wins championships.
Yeah, I think that, I was really going through this because on one hand, Montana has the 2 ranked wins. The Idaho win looks a little bit less impressive than it was, but at the time, I think it was an impressive win. And they also beat North Dakota. Montana State has just the 1 ranked win over Northern Arizona.
Yep.
Montana State's played a tougher schedule, but they've each beat up on their fair share of cupcakes. Montana State with Mercyhurst and San Diego, and Montana with Central Washington and Indiana State. Eastern Washington's probably considered a cupcake at this point too, which is crazy to say, but it's true. And then I was thinking about, okay, how are you going to rank Montana State over Montana? Well, here's the reasons why. I think that Montana State is better defensively. across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think when you go through position by position or position group by position group, I think quarterback right now is a draw. I think both the quarterbacks at
Yeah.
the Montana schools are good. I think
I might even give Lamson a nod on that,
I mean,
honestly.
if you had to pick one, I like if you were grading how they have been for their teams, I would say Justin Lamson has been an A at Montana State, and I think Kale Iyata has
Mhm.
been a B plus, and B plus is very good.
Yes.
But he's
Yeah.
had a couple mistakes, and like Lamson's basically been flawless so far. I mean, he's hardly turned the ball
Oh
over.
yeah.
He's completing 75% of his passes. Like he's doing exactly what they need and want him to do. So I am very impressed with Lamson. You go to running backs. Montana gets the edge, but they have less of an edge over
Oh
Montana.
yeah.
They get less of an edge over Montana State though than almost anybody else, right? Because like Montana is a
Yeah.
huge edge in the running back spot over everybody except like a couple teams in Montana State.
Yeah.
One of those, right? Because Adam Jones is coming on strong
Yep.
and Julius Davis is good, but still the Grizz get the edge in running backs. Tight ends, I'd say it's a draw. I think Montana's tight ends have been good.
Yeah. But honestly, the Montana State tight ends have done more.
They've been more involved. Certainly, Rocky Lencioni coming on certainly is a big boost for Montana
Yes.
State. Um, Offensive line, it's not even close to me. Like Montana State's
No.
offensive line isn't as good as it was, but it is still far superior. I mean, the Grizz offensive line is the biggest glaring weakness that any team in the top 8 has. They have to be better.
And Coach Houck knows that too. That's why he pressed Frank Gogola because he asked a great question and brought up a great topic, and Coach Houck didn't want to address it. We all know this ain't what everybody does. You don't rotate centers. You never do that.
That's right.
Nobody does that.
That's right.
We're not going to get into that, but you've already talked to everybody about that. We've talked about it too, but yeah, Coach Houck knows that the offensive line is a problem as well.
So then you get over to the defensive side. I mean, I think the Cats got the best defensive line in the country, at least
Yes,
one of them. So
one of them for
that's a
sure.
huge advantage for Montana State. I think the linebackers, I'd give the slight edge to Montana, but I think Montana State's linebackers have been
Mhm.
very good as well. I think
I've talked about him.
I think the safeties, I think Montana has the edge, and then I
Hmm.
think the corners, Montana State has the edge.
Yes,
So you're
yes.
basically saying it's in terms of the 8 position groups, it's 5-3, Cats versus Grizz,
Hmm.
and 2 of those, which are the 2 most important positions on the football field, the lines, it's vastly in Montana State's favor.
Yeah, it starts in the trenches.
So I mean that's where we're at right now in terms of the evaluation of these 2 teams. I know the Grizz have 0 losses and the Cats have 2, but it's hard to say that Montana State isn't the number 1 team in the Big Sky right now, given all of the things that we factored into this power rankings.
Yep. Yep. I would agree. I would agree. Like you said, it breaks down to the lines. I mean, everything is done in the trenches. You can tell when a team is outmatched in the trenches, and I mean that team usually wins. The team who can win in the trenches is going to be the team that usually wins. I think it's hard to disagree with Montana State. When I did my redshirt sports poll this week, I had Montana State at 3. I had Montana at 4 because although if you're looking at the resume, yes, you might be able to say Montana's resume is better. But I've watched both football teams. I just simply think Montana State is a better football team right now, and that's why I had them at 3.
And the best news for any Grizz fan that is getting mad listening to us right now is that if you take care of business, if you're Montana, and that includes
Hmm.
beating Montana State in Missoula, you will be sitting in Missoula for the next month because you're going to have home games all the way to Nashville, and you're going to get a chance to prove it. And that's the whole thing. That's what we're doing. We're doing these power rankings as an exercise of who is the best right now. But guess what?
Yep.
These 2 teams get to play. We get to see it. And if you're the Grizz and you want to be ahead of the Cats in the power rankings when November 22nd rolls around, beat them.
Win. Nobody's won on the road since 2018, so the blueprint is right there.
No doubt. Samuel Akem, ESPN Roundtable, Big Sky Breakdown. Appreciate you being here, man.
Thank you for having me.